Chapter 56. Justice. I have to admit that I find this system a bit strange. Don't you? I said, turning to Kieran. What if someone has something of less value? Or nothing to exchange at all? Could that person still pick and take any item? I noticed that no one at each shop is checking this, I asked. Yes, they can, replied Kieran. If so, what about those musicians, poets and painters who don't work and produce goods like other people in this city? I think it's not fair because they don't have anything to give in exchange, I commented. When you use the term exchange, this immediately implies injustice regardless of whether the criteria of quantity or quality is used. The concept of exchange would require a mechanism to check whether the transaction is fair or not. This method of trading complicates matters and it also squanders resources. The method we're using here isn't an exchange but rather, a concept of giving. By giving, you don't have any advantages or disadvantages, no justice or injustice. To give literally means giving without expecting something or anything back in return, Kieran explained. Everyone here prefers to adopt the principle of giving rather than receiving. People are willing to work for others, not because they are forced to. For us, the reward for giving is the joy to know that others have received and used our products without the giver desiring a monetary payment or the barter of goods in return. To summarize, in our planet, one has to take up any occupation to produce something that meets the needs of others. However, if the items produced do not serve any needs, one has to switch and do something else. For example, my responsibility is to produce knives, but no matter how much I enjoy making them, I'll have to change my profession if no one needs my knives anymore. By the way, why do you assume that artists don't have anything to give? Beauty is a kind of food, which nurtures our souls to prevent them from withering and becoming lifeless. Those who don't listen to and appreciate music will eventually become dull and cold. Art is food for the soul. Whenever we lack art, our souls will die, he said. Now I understand, everyone here complies with the system. But what happens if someone doesn't abide by it? I asked. Well, Kieran replied, here we don't have any police or soldiers. Nor do we have lawyers, courts, or even laws. The only institution that we have is one that educates children, what you would refer to as school. However, the purpose of this school is not to impart knowledge to the children, but rather to teach them how to access knowledge by themselves. That's all? I asked, quite baffled. Yes. That's enough for everything they need in this world. Teaching children how to access the supreme knowledge by themselves means helping them gain conscience, know their duties, love themselves, love others, and always consider common interests. Is there anything more important than this? Well, no, I replied, unable to come up with something more important. While we were arranging the sheets of paper on the shelves, a young man walked into the shop. Hi. I'm so glad to meet you. He greeted me, with a voice that sounded like a teenager. Then he turned and smiled at Kaharu and Kieran without saying anything, and I guessed they were communicating telepathically. Hi, I replied and bowed my head slightly. I'd like to introduce Vince to you. He's a very famous painter in this city, Kieran said proudly. Glad to know you, Mr. Vince. My name is Tim. I introduced myself. I know you well. I've known you since the first day that you arrived here, he replied. I see. was all I could say. I've waited for the new paper to arrive for several days. I'm lucky twice today, being the first to get Yoshida's paper and getting to meet you, too. I'm sure I will be truly inspired today to paint more than ever, he said, laughing and being in a good mood. Would you honor me by staying at my house tonight? I would like to draw a picture of your story. Vince invited me. I looked at Kaharu and Kiran to see what they thought. It depends on you. We've already stayed at almost every house, said Kaharu. I'd love to. Thank you very much for your kind invitation, I said to Vince. Ha ha, what a strange thing to say. It's me who should thank you, he replied. I got what I wanted. So let's go to my house. Vince said straightforwardly, please kindly go ahead first, and we'll follow you later because there are a couple more errands that we need to do, Kiran told Vince. Alrighty, I'll go home to prepare the bedrooms then, he replied while carefully rolling up 10 sheets of paper. Oh, I just had an inspiration. I'm really so excited. I'd better dash home now and start drawing before I lose that image. Ha ha. He said happily as he walked out. See you later, I called after him. Ha ha, he laughed and waved. When Kaharu had finished arranging the paper on the shelves, she turned to Kiran, I'm done. Good, let's go then, Kiran replied. I'll bring you to my grandfather's place. It's a shop that makes knives and all kinds of tools that are made from steel. His house is at the other end of the city. Grandpa, can I go get the ingredients that Mom wanted? And also look for a new dress first so that we don't have to come back this way again? Kaharu said quickly, as if to ask for permission. I thought, secretly, that what she really wanted in the first place was to look for a beautiful new dress. We'll be staying here for at least another night, so perhaps we can do this tomorrow. We're staying at Vince's place tonight, which is nearby. This was the first time I saw grandfather and granddaughter expressing their own personal opinions. I understood Kaharu's feelings as she was a young girl and loved pretty things. And Kiran, like most elderly men who wasn't too keen in strolling around, was also probably not interested in looking for personal adornments. If this is fine with you, Kiran, perhaps Kaharu and I could catch up with you later? I would also like to spend some time to explore the market, I intervened. Yes, that sounds good. Why don't you take Tim out, Kaharu? Replied Kiran. Great, let's go. Tim, I'll show you around. She immediately took my hand and walked me out of the shop. See you later, I said to Kiran before being pulled away.